So here's the quick, real talk opener. This week feels different, and not just because Rashee Rice is finally back. The Chiefs have been on a heater the last few weeks, and that kind of momentum coming into a divisional matchup with the Raiders at Arrowhead turns every small advantage into something huge. First thing I want to say, yeah, it's a noon game, which is weird for us. And remember what Mahomes said about that. He warned the team not to come out flat, and I'm with him. The Chiefs are used to prime time and late afternoon windows, so starting with urgency matters more than it seems. So my first question to you, do you think the Chiefs will come out with the same urgency in a noon game? Drop a yes or no in the comments right now. I'll wait on that thought while I set the scene. If you're new here and want more weekly breakdowns like this, hit subscribe and help us push toward our goal of 6,000 subscribers. We're growing fast, and your click really helps the channel. Okay, back to the game. Look, the Raiders have been a mess this season. Fired their coach, turnovers galore, Geno Smith leading the league in interceptions, and on paper that screams opportunity. But this is a rivalry that never behaves like the paper says it should. Remember last season's Christmas nightmare and that November game that still came down to the wire? Those are reminders that you can't sleep on Vegas, even when they look shaky on tape. Still, there's a difference between close and vulnerable, and Vegas right now is more vulnerable than dangerous. Two reasons why. First, their receivers, Brock Bowers and Jakobi Meyers, probably won't be available, and that removes nearly 240 yards of production from their last big matchup. Second, Geno's decision-making has been a real liability. A lot of his picks aren't even pressured throws, they're mental errors, and a good Chiefs defense, especially one that can generate pressure, is a recipe for turnovers. Speaking of pressure, this is where the Chiefs can tilt the field early. If Kansas City gets up by a couple possessions, forces the Raiders into long drives and makes them one-dimensional, Geno's mistakes are magnified, and the clock becomes your ally. That's what you want in a noon game. Dictate tempo, run the clock, keep Mahomes comfortable when he's on the sideline, and lethal when he's back on the field. Now let me put one more big storyline on the table before we dig deeper in the next chapter. Rashee Rice is back. After a season-ending knee injury and that suspension, he's been practicing. Andy Reid says he looks sharp, and Rice himself said the playbook still comes natural. This is a ramp-up game for him. Probably not every snap, but even limited usage can create matchup problems and open things for Kelce and the other pass catchers. Quick viewer poll, do you think Rashee gets at least one catch and makes a key play this week? Vote in the comments. Also, if you've already got a score in mind, type it in now. I want to see your predictions. Before I go, a tiny housekeeping note. If you enjoy this level of breakdown and want to help the channel hit that 6,000 mark, subscribe and ring notifications. It makes these match previews worth producing. All right, that sets the table. Noon game, high stakes, rivalry tension, Rice's return, and a Raiders team that's beatable but never to be underestimated. If you're good with that, say C, and I'll jump into Chapter 2, where we break down the Chiefs' offense. Why it's suddenly scarier than ever, and what Rashee Rice's return really means for Mahomes and play calling. All right, diving into the offense now, and I'll keep this tight so you can picture exactly why the Chiefs suddenly feel scarier than ever. Over the last 3 weeks, the offense has looked dialed in. The line is protecting better, Mahomes is picking apart zones, and the skill players are finishing plays instead of leaving points on the board. That combination matters more than any single name because football wins are often about who can execute as a unit, and right now the Chiefs' offense is executing at a really high level. Let's start with the line. You heard in the presser that the left tackle spot has stabilized, and Jalen Moore has shown he can hang in there against high-end rushers. That reduces pressure, gives Mahomes time to climb the pocket, and turns short windows into big play opportunities. When the offensive line plays like that, Kelce stays a mismatch. The running game opens up and play action becomes a deadly weapon, which is when this offense becomes nearly impossible to defend. Now add Rashee Rice back into the mix. Even if Reed limits his snaps early, Rice's presence on the field changes how defenses allocate resources. He draws attention downfield, forces single coverage in spots where the Chiefs want double teams elsewhere, and creates more favorable matchups for Kelce and the other receivers. Think of Rice as a pressure release valve. Uighao, don't need him to go off for him to be hugely impactful. He can win a couple of critical snaps, stretch a defense, and create space for explosive plays. Quick interaction. Do you think Rashee finishes with more than 20 receiving yards this week? Vote yes or no in the comments. I want to see how confident the Chief Kingdom is. Moving to play calling, what's been impressive is the balance. Mahomes isn't being leaned on to win every second. Reed is using his weapons intelligently, scheming where the eye. Raiders are weakest, especially against zone coverage, where Mahomes ranks near the top. The Raiders love zone, and the Chiefs love attacking zone. That combo favors Kansas City. Expect a healthy dose of quick rhythm throws, designed rub routes, and built-in pick plays to leverage Kelce and Rice against slower linebackers. The running game has also helped keep that balance. When the Chiefs can chew the clock and finish drives, it forces the Raiders to be reactive. That's the template for a dominant performance in a noon game. Get ahead early, make them pass, and let Mahomes take advantage of a defense playing more single high shells. Who is the X factor for you this week? Rashee Rice, Travis Kelce, or Chris Jones? Type your pick below. I'll read through and shout out a few in the next video. One more tactical note. Mahomes' rhythm matters. If the Chiefs protect him and use short to intermediate throws to build confidence, the deep shots open naturally. Thornton and Worthy both create big play possibilities when they're respected on early downs, which inflates the offense's scoring ceiling. If you're into fantasy or betting, Rice's snap count is the number to watch. A few key targets early could make him a sneaky play. If you agree the offense is the team's biggest strength right now, show it with a like. Real engagement helps get our breakdowns in front of other fans. To close this section, the offense's current form plus Rice's return equals more matchup problems for the Raiders than they can realistically handle. That said, nothing is guaranteed in rivalry games, so we'll walk through how the defense must respond next. Perfect. Now let's break down the defense and all the matchups that could make or break this game. First off, the Raiders' offensive situation is a mess. Geno Smith leads the league in interceptions. Their star tight end Brock Bowers is out with a knee injury, and wide receiver Jakobi Meyers likely won't play either. That removes a huge chunk of their passing production, and when you combine that with Geno's mental errors, it's basically handing opportunities to a Chiefs defense that's starting to find its rhythm. The D-line, led by Chris Jones, has been heating up over the past couple of weeks. Jones has shown he can blow up plays, and if the Chiefs get an early lead, he'll force Geno to rush throws. Exactly the kind of pressure that can generate turnovers and set up easy points for the offense. The interior isn't safe either, with Jonah Lolu providing extra push. That's going to be crucial, because the Raiders' line has struggled in pass protection, especially after losing left tackle Kolton Miller to IR. If Jalen Moore on the left side can handle the edge and the rest of the front collapses the pocket, Kansas City can turn one-dimensional football into a scoreboard advantage quickly. On the secondary side, the Raiders have some talent like Max Crosby, who leads the team in pressures and will be a disruptive force, and Devin White flying around as their linebacker with confidence. But the Chiefs' offense is clicking so well that the Raiders' defense will have to be perfect to slow them down. Meanwhile, there are vulnerabilities. Third down conversions allowed are in the bottom 8 of the league, and Kyu Blu Kelly has been targeted for nearly 400 yards this season, double any teammate. The Chiefs can exploit these weaknesses with smart route combinations, quick reads, and situational aggressiveness. The key strategy here is early pressure and forcing mistakes. If Kansas City can force turnovers or limit the Raiders to short drives, Mahomes can stay comfortable on the sideline when necessary and deadly when on the field. That also plays perfectly into Rashee Rice's ramp-up. The less pressure on the offense and the more the Raiders have to throw, the more opportunities Rice has to make an impact. Quick fan interaction. Who do you think will be the defensive MVP this week? Chris Jones, Nick Bolton, or someone else? Type your pick in the comments. And one simple yes/no. Do you trust the Chiefs' front seven to cause 2+ turnovers? Let's see what the Kingdom thinks. All in all, the defense's role is about control, creating pressure, and taking advantage of the Raiders' mistakes. If the Chiefs execute on both sides, this matchup should tilt heavily in Kansas City's favor. And that brings us naturally to the last part. Predictions, key player notes, and what you need to know to feel confident heading into Sunday. This is how I see it ending up on Sunday. If the Chiefs do the simple things, protect Mahomes, win the turnover battle, and avoid special teams chaos, this becomes a comfortable Arrowhead win. My pick, Chiefs 30, Raiders 17. Why that score? Because the offense should put up steady points if they maintain balance, and the Raiders, without Brock Bowers, and likely without Jakobi Meyers, don't have the matchup weapons to keep pace all day. Plus, Geno's. Interception issues mean Kansas City should be able to flip field position and turn short fields into scoreboard advantages. A few practical notes for you. Fantasy players should watch Rashee Rice's snap count. He's a ramp-up play this week, which makes him a high-upside, low-floor dart in deeper leagues. Mahomes remains a rock for production as long as the line holds up, and if you're thinking bets, be cautious on long field goal and close game market lines given Butker's recent mental hiccups. Special teams have been weird this season, and they can swing close games. For bettors who like prop markets, look into short-term props like targets for Rice or pressures, sacks for Chris Jones. Those are the micro matchups most likely to move. For die-hard Chiefs fans, the emotional takeaway is just this. Respect the rivalry, but don't overcomplicate it. If Kansas City executes on both sides like we expect, the game will tilt in their favor early. And once they force the Raiders into longer, clock-draining drives, Mahomes and the offense can chew the game up. Quick engagement. If you agree with my 30-17 score, smash that like button right now. If you have a different score, drop it in the comments and tell me who your standout player will be. Also, real quick, who's the MVP in your book? Mahomes, Kelsey, Chris Jones, or someone else? Type the name and I'll feature a few picks in the next video. And one more simple yes/no to boost interaction. Do you think Rashee Rice has a touchdown this week? Say yes or no. Before I close, please do me a favor. Subscribe and ring notifications so we keep growing toward our 6,000 subscriber goal. It helps get this breakdown to more Chiefs fans and keeps the channel rolling with these deep previews. Thanks for sticking with the breakdown. I respect your time and your take, so make sure to drop your best prediction below.